Hey, 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 y'all. We back again. We are back again. And so, as you can see from the title, this is what we are discussing today. So, I'm just going to hide this for just a moment, too. So, and we'll bring it back later just for those who might be joining a little bit later. So, hey, y'all. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. Happy Juneteenth. Well, if you're here, that is because you are at the Midnight Ace Book Bar, where bold books and bold conversation collide. And today we are diving into a beautiful love story with a twist. And here with us, the mastermind behind that story is none other than Miss Sharon C. Cooper. Hello
Hey,
there. Well, for y'all, those of you all who don't know, Miss Sharon C. Cooper has a little few of accolades behind her. You know, she's a USA Today best-selling author. She has a few awards, the Rochelle Ehlers Best Series Award, and that was for Atlanta's Finest. And you know, guys, that is a fan favorite of hers. And she has a couple fan favorites up under her belt. She also won the Beverly Jenkins Award, Author of the Year Award. That is pretty cool too. So Sharon has a number of books up under her belt, a couple of series with Atlanta's Finest, the Jenkins family who started it all. And then she's got a couple of rom-coms in there. And then now we have a new family, the Priestley family, which we're going to be talking about today. Now, Sharon has done few little things here, but one thing we know for sure, she does do romantic comedy really, really well. So what say you, Sharon? So what's your favorite, I should say?
actually, my favorite is romantic suspense.
Okay, well, you do that extremely well.
Thank you.
Do that extremely well. So, guys, if you are listening to us on Facebook or either YouTube, thank you. But please be sure to like, share, tag a friend, tell them to come on over for a little bit of fun and find you a cozy little place, get you a nice drink, whether it is a good girl drink or a bad girl drink, whichever one, this story will accommodate both of them. So now, the Priestley family, second installment is Finding You. Okay. So I have to say, let me just say hello to a couple people too. So we got Angela Anderson out there. Hey, hey, hey,
Hey,
sister
Angela.
love. We got Miss JB out there.
Hey,
Hey, hey,
JB.
Miss JB. We got Brenda Woodbury. Hey, hey. And then
Hey,
we
Brenda.
have Sharon. Let me see, Sharon Eatman Rowland.
I'm Sharon.
Hey, hey, hey. Um, so guys, I hope you read the book because you know there might be a few little spoilers. I'm gonna try to be good, but you know, the book has been out for a little bit, so you know, we waited. Just saying. So Sharon, with this book right here, we had and our characters, main characters are Raven and Zion. Okay, so with this one here, you had, I feel like the story kind of encompasses like how you're broken, how something can break you in life, and then how you can find that one person that can help you heal. Okay.
I like that.
I started
You
not to say
always
that,
give me these ideas after the book has been written, but I'm like, oh, that's good.
but that's what I got from the book. But you know what? I started not to say that, and I was going to
I
say, see
like
what
that.
you say.
No, I couldn't have worded it better.
Uh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
like
So
that. I
we
just
we
wish I would have thought of that like a month ago when I released it, so I could have put it out there.
yeah, but that's kind of what I got from it, and I think more people might have it in these words or you know in other words, but you know the both of them carried a few little scars, mostly oh my goodness, I just drew
Raven.
a face right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Mostly Raven because Raven was coming from a place of loss. You know, she had a lot of loss early in life. And so basically she was living her life in a solo way.
Yep.
Um, Complete opposite for Zion, though, because he had, full-fledged family support and everything. But after he had his interaction with Raven, he was feeling a little bit, incomplete. And most guys, they have that one night stand, then they try to be tough guy or whatever. They don't want to leave anything, behind. So they go on about their business. But this one didn't go so well for him. But I feel like he was looking for Raven, would have liked to have had a little bit more of a relationship with her. And then when he did get to meet her, I don't think he was expecting for all he got.
No, I don't think so. I gotta ask, were you surprised by the twins?
I was surprised by the twins. Yeah, I knew in the first book when we met Zion, he said, he was thinking about Raven. I was kind of surprised that you took it there because you kind of jumped because Mama Virginia was looking for babies. But it was funny because, she was still old fashioned and she wanted them to have it the old fashioned way, right? But somehow or another, when she got what she got, I still feel like she went back. She was like happy, but she was like, hey, that's not the way we raised you.
Right.
Like, well, Mom, be happy about it, right?
I had to add that part in it since she's a church going woman, so I had to add that little bit.
Hey there, Renata. Thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Hey there, Myra. Thank you for joining in. Yeah. So let's talk about that. Okay. So when you were writing this story, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you balance the romance and, the emotional side of it,
I try, whenever I write any story, I really try to become those characters.
Mm-hmm.
How would I feel? How would I react? Or, at least I try to. Sometimes it's hit or miss,
Mm-hmm.
But whenever especially the two main characters. And so what I did, I just kind of, like with Zion, I was like, okay, if it were me and I was him, I'd be shocked. Thrown off, especially if I thought I did everything I could to use protection and all of that. And so with each of them, I just tried to tap into how I think I would react to the things that they were going through. And that's usually with every story.
Yeah. You know what always surprises me about you, Sharon? I love talking.
Boy.
But you're so carefree, you're carefree in life and then in your writing. And
that is so funny you would say that because my family would say opposite.
Really?
I'm uptight. I'm like, straight and narrow. There is no going this way or veering off that way.
Really?
Follow the rules. Get stuff done.
Well, if you according to the Jenkins family series, when you first started it, you had the women in those positions, and so one of those was kind of like a little bit loosely about you, and I could see that. But having met with you and talked with you, on the outside, you are. But then, and when you talk about these stories, I get you on here and you talk about these stories, you're like, I just did this, hey, it was no big deal. But they come out like so great. Like you really you meet the mark with the stories when the characters, you know what I mean? And you give a really good story.
That. Yeah, because, when you're writing, I think every author would say that you just never know how the story's going to go over. You write, what comes to you, how you think it would, spark attention, how it would entertain the reader, but you just never know until you get that feedback, good or bad.
Yeah.
How it went, or how it was received, I should say.
Yeah, but I think this, for me, Everybody knows I love a great family series. I'm all about family the series. I love other things, but I love the family series. And as most of the times, the unique, the better. Like with the Atlanta's Finest, they were a family in themselves, even though they weren't, but they were, and they were unique in the fact that they weren't like they didn't share the same bloodline. But I love family. Jenkins family was good. And then when you came along with the Priestley family, some of us just kind of didn't know whether or not you would, would it be like that, or how you would how we would be drawn into this family having
I
such.
didn't know either.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know about you, but you can tell me though, what has how's it been received by like readers? How do you feel like it's been received?
It's been received very well. Thank goodness. Of course, I still get those comments like, I'm enjoying the Priestley family, but please don't stop the Jenkins family.
Oh, absolutely. That's first love.
I get a lot of that. I really wasn't sure what to expect with the Priestley. The hardest part for me is making sure that that they're different than Atlanta Fine is different than the Jenkins family reunited series. I just want to make sure, or try to at least, make their stories a little different, make them a little bit different. Hopefully I'm doing that. So far, as my number one goal with every book is always to entertain. I want somebody to pick up my book, they know they're going to get a solid story. So that's always my number one goal. So I'm hoping that's the case. The feedback has been phenomenal though.
Good. Hey, Velva. Hey, Mary. Hey, Miss Ruby. Hey, Pam Cakes. How's it going? Hey, Kawana. Hey, Mama Tony.
Hi, everybody.
Girl. Hey, y'all.
Wow, you have a full house.
I know. Tori, all of you guys. So thank you so much for joining. Okay, so now with the two characters, we got Raven and we got Zion, right? And they're leading the charge with this story. But in this particular story, you have some secondary characters that are kind of blowing my mind too. So for one, and you know how we get, y'all, we know there's readers, we are greedy, but you got Mama Virginia who's in here, and we had her, so she's bringing her thing, and even her sister, the auntie is kind of making her way, but then you bring us G-Pop. Oh my God. I did not think that I was going to fall completely in love with him.
Aww.
I fell completely in love with him. Guys,
he had a small role. I'm surprised.
He did, but it was very significant. And the fact that, at the end when they get married and that you bring him in with that, oh my gosh, totally cool with that one. Totally cool with that one. You get so many kudo points with that one. Guys, if you have some favorite parts, I want you all to be engaged with this story. I was loving it I was loving this story, really. Hate that it ended. But if you guys have any questions or if you have any favorite scenes, please do share with us in here. And I'm sure Sharon would love to know what you guys thought about it.
Oh, yeah. Good or bad,
Yeah. Well, it was good. It was all good. but good or bad. But now, Sharon, what did you want us to take from this book?
What did I want you to take? I don't know if I wanted you to take anything, except I just wanted to entertain.
Okay.
There's just so much going on. I'm one of those people who stopped watching the news towards the end of last year. But I still know that there's just so much going on that's not necessarily happy or joyful. And so when I'm writing these books this year, my goal is to bring a little laughter, kind of pull us out of our day-to-day, life. So I guess if I had to answer that question, what did I want you to get out of it? I really, number one, I just wanted to entertain. That was it. I wasn't trying to give any life lessons or anything like that. It was all about you being able to pick up a book, read it, even in, I don't know if this is one of those cases where it would be one sitting, but read it to where it pulls you away from just the stuff, the noise,
Yeah.
So hopefully I accomplished that. Hopefully everybody had a few laughs, had a few moments where they hurry up to turn the page. I really like when that happens, so they can see what happens next. And hopefully I threw enough surprises in there to keep those who read it wanting to keep reading, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was it. That's what I wanted you to get out of it.
Well, you've hit all of those marks. We did keep turning the pages. But now with these characters though, when you're writing like a series like this and you have a multitude of characters that you are in, your main characters, and then you have, some secondary characters. Were there any characters in this book that didn't follow the script that you initially had for them? Like, did they jump the gun or did they surprise you with anything?
I think G-Pop,
I
because he
think,
only had like a little bit of notes for him, and he was one of those characters that developed as I was writing, which I don't do that too often because I'm too rigid and too OCD to just be flying by the seat of my pants. I can't do it. I admire people who can. I gotta have it written down, know what's coming next. But he kind of surprised me because I needed to balance his grandson a little bit, like good and evil. G-Pop was the good, his grandson was the evil, and so that's how G-Pop really kind of came together. And then a conversation I had with you where we kind of were talking about a certain plot line, and then I was like, I wonder what would happen if, and then it just kind of goes from there.
Well, I know that the X was supposed to be, played a little bit more of a role in that story, but G-Pop just went like boof, put him over.
Yep, because keep in mind, I'm trying to keep this series a little lighter.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I need the balance,
Yeah, you did really well with him, but he fell in love. We fell in love with him, and then I remember talking to you afterwards, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can let him go. I don't know if I can let him go. And I love how family. It's all about family, but I think one of the things with G-Pop was he didn't just let his son just run rampant and just be okay with everything he was doing. His son was spoiled, but I love how he took in Raven, and then how when he really did find out that those weren't his grandkids, that he was a little salty about that because he wanted grandkids and he wanted them from her specifically. But how he included them, just in his life, it was just great. I've just loved it. She said she said that was JB said that was
that intentional.
Yeah, well,
it was intentional.
Oh, okay.
It was intentional when I was going down this little rabbit hole with Maximus, and it was just all bad, depressing. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I gotta balance him out a little bit, because this series in my head is supposed to be, fun with a few twists and turns. That's how I went into it. Not something as heavy as maybe Atlanta's Finest. Nobody, trying not to kill anybody or anything like that. And so, but when I was mapping out Maximus, yeah, I just had him bad, worse than what showed up on the page. And I was like, okay. Have to reel it back in a little bit,
But I think he had a lot, pretty good balance in there. But I think, I knew that his character was supposed to be more of a role than G-Pop's was. But
definitely. Yeah, that was the initial plan. Yeah.
Right. So would you say G-Pop surprised you then?
He did. I guess he did kind of surprise me, because even though I had in mind after writing Maximus part, thinking like, okay, I'm gonna have to come up with something that kind of makes that part of the story a little bit lighter. I didn't think G-Pop's role was even that big. Not until you just said that, where he was a secondary character that you connected with. My intent was just to not let that part of the story be too heavy or too negative. Maybe is a better word. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't think his part was negative. I think
you don't think Maximus' part was negative?
Maximus' part.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Because
yeah.
Maximus kind of dominated the scenes that he was in before I added G-Pop's role.
Mm-hmm. No, but I like I said, Maximus, he got us that twist. He gave us that twist in the story.
Were you surprised when he claimed the twins as his own?
Yeah, I didn't in that type of story, right? So we're reading romance and I'm thinking, because we had talked and, the story from before the first story, we wasn't expecting that type of heat, like spicy like that. We looked to see something like that in Atlanta's Finest, but like in this one, that wasn't the tone that you had originally set. So I was surprised that he had did something so evil in here. But then you also gave us, and then I speak of Atlanta's Finest because we had Wiz. And the podcast, I'm gonna give a shameless plug in here. So if you guys are not familiar, every other Thursday we air a podcast called Where There You Go. Myself, I'm one of the hosts, Miss Prissy Parker and Iris Boland. And we just recently talked about Atlanta's Finest. And one of the things that we talked about with Sharon was we wanted more Wiz, right? And so
I love Wiz.
Yeah, we all love Wiz. And so you gave us a little bit of Wiz in here. And I thought, okay, so she's answering the call. So we got a chance to see Wiz and then I don't know where Malik, and I don't know where you're going with this because Wiz and Malik were doing some recruiting. So I don't know if you're setting yourself up.
No, I am not.
Okay, just checking because that's what it looks
like. Miss Prissy, who be coming up with all these ideas and just making more work for me. Nope.
Well, I
missed those two guys.
I'm just saying, honey, if you did a good thing. Oh, he was. Duchess, how you doing there? He was. So yeah, he was good in that way. Okay, so she already said we're not gonna get no more, with Atlanta's Finest. So
no, that would be actually the Reunited series.
Yeah.
It's funny you ask me that though, because somebody asked me about a character in the Reunited series who I would love to get a story to. But anyway, I digress.
No, because it's on the tip of my tongue. Say the name.
I can't remember his name.
Okay.
But he was the detective.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he was the detective, and he showed up in, I think, every book in that series. And somebody recently asked, is he going to get a story? Or does he have a story? I'm like, oh, I forgot all about him. I would love to give him a story. But I had no plans of going back to revisit the Reunited series. I really got to stop saying never.
Yeah, because you know how we are. Look, we see you at a book event and we corner you up and then you be like. But Ruby said that she could see Maximum being a stalker. Yeah, he was. But when he was dangerous with it because how he does, how he had everything. He had everything in order. Yeah. But if they didn't have Wiz, how was they going to prove it?
Right.
So
right.
Yeah. So
I mean, ultimately, they could have proved it by going to court because especially after she found Zion. But before finding Zion, it would have been impossible to prove that he wasn't the father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had debated on Maximus going after Zion, like making him disappear or something. But I was like, oh, that'll turn into Atlanta's Finest book versus.
And you said you was keeping it light. It wouldn't have been nothing light about that.
Exactly. So I had to, I had all kind of ideas. I don't know if I'm missing writing romantic suspense or what, but yeah, I had to kind of reel myself back in a few times with the story.
Okay, speaking of the story, so the arc is secret babies. So what
I had been wanting to do a secret baby because I don't think I have one in my backlist. If I do, I can't remember. But I didn't want to do a typical one. It still was a little typical with the one night stand. But I was just waiting until I had an idea for a story that wasn't so much like all the other secret baby stories, So
yeah. Well, this one was cute. It was cute.
Oh, good. I'm glad you think.
I'm not normally drawn to secret babies. I mean, I can have one or two of them in there, but I do know some people who just love the secret baby thing. I'm not normally drawn to it, but this one I loved, because I went into it for the family, and then the secret baby just happens to be a bonus.
Okay. Yeah. So what is your favorite trope?
I love, family for sure. And then I love romantic suspense.
No, I mean, like as far as with that would be drama. I mean, that would be genre. What would be your trope? Would be
I like friends to lovers.
Yeah, that's my favorite. Actually.
Yeah, I love friends to lovers, and I kind of like, and I don't know if this is a trope, but I kind of like little sister, big brother kind of thing where they go with the friends. So I like that. And just and the romantic suspense actually too. Anything with suspense in it, and I do enjoy a good rom-com, and I love small towns. So small towns. Yeah, I love small towns.
So far, I haven't been able to get into small town. The small town trope or genre or whatever, but I need to work on it because they're popping up left and right. I need to kind of embrace it, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, you're doing good by doing diving into some deep things. Like you going into the romantic suspense, and then you got the rom-com, and then the family series or whatever. So I would love to see you do a small town. I think you could
be. That would be interesting.
Yeah,
I would have to read some. Yeah, I don't know. I guess because I don't like when you get people in everybody's business. It would be hard to write a story if everybody's in everybody's business. That I just don't like that.
Well, that is the main thing in there. But the one thing that captures me about reading the small towns is that normally you have somebody, because when you really think about it, it was a reverse for Raven. But Raven was living, in Texas, right? I think I'm going back. So she was living in Texas, and then she was coming back to Chicago, right? So she was,
she wasn't coming back to Chicago. She never lived in Chicago. Okay. But the little family that she did have lived in Chicago.
Was in Chicago.
Yeah. So what just needed a change.
Yeah, but the one thing I do like about small towns is people go off, they leave these small towns because they don't like everybody being in their business, and they go off and they do these fantastic careers, and then something breaks them in the big city, and then they come back to the small town to heal. And then, you got all the people, that said, oh, I remember you when I was changing your diapers and stuff. Yeah, this kind of stuff. So that's kind of my favorite thing. Okay. So you did big city to big city for Raven, but basically she came to Chicago to heal, and to find her true love, really, to be exact. But now, how would you say Finding You, I'm just going to say Finding You, not the Priestley series, but Finding You, how does it compare to some of your other series, as in terms of writing?
As in terms of writing, I mean, it still feels familiar because it's still centered around family. Um, that would definitely be the same. Actually, that would be every book I write. I kind of somehow, not intentionally, kind of fall back on family. And so this is no different. Um, I don't even know if I could write a book without, without
Family?
yeah, I don't know if I could. Or without it feeling like, or I should say, I could write a book maybe without it, but I couldn't write a series without it.
Okay.
Because like even with Atlanta's Finest, I went into it just writing, but it turned out that even though they weren't related, they all kind of acted as one big family,
Yeah. And that's what I call one of those unique family dynamics, because they were, they was ride or die for each other. They was at each other's houses and things like that, So yeah, that's what I call a unique family dynamic.
Yeah.
Ruby thought that Maximum was going to show up in Chicago. I kind of thought he was too, but
He was.
Yeah.
In my notes, he did show up in Chicago.
Right, because I thought he was going to get handled,
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my notes, he did show up in Chicago. And then just to comment on, I think it was Kawana who said you can't have a location in Chicago without having Wiz. I agree.
Right. And I'm Chicago born and bred, so I was loving that you brought the series back to Chicago, because we were talking about another series a while ago. We were talking about something. I don't know if it was a series, but we was talking about maybe having a series somewhere. It might have been a connective series, and because I was asking you about a cigar bar, and I don't know where it was, and I think it was supposed to be in Las Vegas, but I was trying to get you to come to Chicago.
With a cigar bar.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember what it was.
I have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Because I did visit a fabulous cigar bar here in Atlanta. And so I can, tap into those memories and move it to Chicago.
Yeah. And I have to, when the time I'm down there, I have to find out where you were. We may have to hang out down there.
Definitely. You know what? Cree, I could totally see Cree in a cigar bar.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Make myself a note. See, this is why I don't like talking to you and Miss Prissy. Because y'all give me all these ideas and then I have to see if I can work them into a story. But this one, I might could do. Oh, you know what? I did have a cigar bar.
Did I miss it?
And was it a cigar bar? I think it was a cigar bar because I wrote the story after visiting that bar, a cigar bar, Casino Heat.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We did talk about. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, because we were talking about bringing it into Chicago, but then you said you chose Vegas.
Yes, because but I still think Cree would be cool with a cigar bar.
So Miss Brenda says, yes, never say never. She loves all your series. And then how about a holiday gathering for one of your series?
Funny you should say that. Because I've been thinking about one for the Jenkins family. I only have like snippets of ideas, not enough to pull a story together for this year. However, I am thinking about a Christmas story for the Jenkins this year.
We love those. We love those. The family reunion was a total hit.
That one turned out well.
Yeah, so we can do a holiday story, a Thanksgiving, and a Christmas. You don't have to do them all in one year, but just saying.
Yeah, but it's funny. Ms. Brenda asked about that because I was thinking about that. I think it was last week. I had snippets of an idea, but not enough yet to like, ooh, I'm writing this right now.
Right. That's okay. We'll wait.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Small towns. Yeah, I think so too, Miss Ola. Hey, you. Mm-hmm. I think they are very good. Okay. Duchess says, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Duchess.
Absolutely. I think she may be, I don't know, she's talking about Casino Heat.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love that title.
Let us know, Duchess, if that's what you were talking about.
or is it Finding You? I guess it could be either one.
Ah, look at that.
Yes, I'm working on their story, putting some finishing touches on it.
Uh,
And that story, you guys are the first to hear. The title is Daring to Love You.
oh, wow.
I don't have a release date yet, but yes, Dorian, Zion's sister, um, love interest is Lennox, who is Zion's best friend.
Mm.
So it's gonna be a little bit different as far as his reaction once he finds out. Not like Kenton in the
Mm.
Atlanta Finest series where him and Parker were fighting. When
Oh,
Kenton found out Parker was dating his sister, he just went off. So it won't be to that extreme. There might be a little shoving just because I just enjoy that stuff, but
but
it
you know what?
won't be
I think
all out fight.
yeah, but I think Zion is knows that Lennox is a good guy. So it'll be interesting to see how he takes his sister.
Yeah. Let me ask you though, when you guys read the books where the best friend hooks up with the little sister or whatever, do you want to see them fight, or what is the appeal to those type of stories? Because I don't read that many of them.
I think for me, it's just the emotions, just to
Okay.
see how they care about one another, even though, say, the best friend, the two guys, let's say it's two guys, even though they care for one another, it's like they're on a push and pull where they have to make a decision of who they like the best. So I just like that. I like seeing the emotion of that.
Okay.
But guys, chime into that. What do you feel about the what appeals to you about the I guess just friends to lovers kind of thing, or big brother big sister kind of
Yeah,
thing?
it's more sister and best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, sister and best friend.
Let's see, here we go. Yeah. So JB over here talking about let's get
So
physical.
JB trying to get a fight started.
uh yeah, okay, wait, let me see. How friends navigate the emotions. Yeah, that's kind of what I like about it too, JB. uh Not a fight, but a lay down the ground kind of rude
Okay.
sister. Yeah, that works
And
too.
that's the route I'm going with this story instead of how I did with Parker and Kenton in Atlanta's Finest series.
Yeah. Okay, not necessarily fight, but some argument, yes. Like
Okay.
maybe, why did like if they go and because
So
sometimes does it.
Zion already knows that Lennox was interested, but he doesn't think Dorian is interested
Mhm.
in Lennox. Because Dorian has always said that she doesn't like him. He's an egotistic, he's self-absorbed, egotistical, or whatever. And so Zion is gonna kind of surprise him a little bit.
Because like sometimes the two couples they have like a secret behind the scenes. They're seeing each other, but they don't want to upset the brother, and so then he finds out by mistake, and then that is what creates the emotion.
Yeah,
As he didn't
kind of
step.
like with Kenton and
Yeah,
Parker,
yeah.
where Kenton did never realize they had been dating that long, and then to find out. And I think too in that particular story, because of the heat that Parker brought with that relationship,
Mm,
he came from a volatile background, and so
yeah.
I think that upset Kenton too. So this Zion's story, I mean Dorian and Lennox, theirs will be a little bit different, but yeah, Zion's going to he'll have some words. And then, like I said, it might be a little bit of shoving, but nothing major.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
So Miss Duchess says she don't want to see it. She got five brothers and she just over it all. She does not want to see that. I'm living it. I don't want to read it.
Okay.
We hear
Five
you.
brothers. Wow.
Yeah, I know. I love the brothers are the best. Hey there, Miss Arthur.
Hey, Dia.
Gail White, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. Let's see. Breaking the
Making a
bro
bro code.
code. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A good back and forth. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I can see that. And you got to have the back and forth, because especially if they start to see each other behind the back without him asking the brother's permission, if you will.
Right, right.
What was this? What book did I read where there was fights?
Oh yeah, that was Protected. Protected was when
Oh yeah, when they was in the house, they was calling they was calling his uncle their dad.
they were calling Mason.
Right.
It was Mason's kids, and they were saying something like Uncle Parker and Uncle Kenton are fighting. You know, I really love that scene.
That was a really good scene, because he was
was so much fun to write, because I could totally see it.
And he was like, he like the kids had did it, just move, you know. that was
especially when Mason said, I think he was cursing or something, and then one of them said, "Mommy, Daddy said a curse word," you know. She's like, "Yeah, I heard him."
Right.
It was like I could totally envision that scene. That was one of my favorite scenes to write. I was literally laughing as I was talking.
Oh, and I think Duchess is saying yes. Casino Heat was the title that she was saying. That was pretty good.
Okay. Okay.
Oh. Well,
you have to read the book, Miss Brenda.
Yeah.
It's so funny with that, you know, because sometimes I put that stuff in these stories, and then when I put these little teasers in for the next story, and then when I get to the next story, it's like, what the heck was I thinking, you know? I gotta think of something now, you know. But it'd be so much fun to write those little teasers, like, ooh, this would be fun, you know.
Right. But I mean,
then when I gotta address it, it's like, man, what am I gonna come up with, you know? So that was one of those cases where I got carried away with my typing at the end of Zion's story, and now it's like, man,
and then look, what do? You sit down and you type the end, and then you go on and you celebrate, and then now it is time for you to get back in the writing lab. You like, okay, what was I thinking?
That's exactly what happens. Even with the after Believing in You, I think I put like a little sneak peek of Zion and Raven's story. Mind you, I had no notes, nothing for their story, but I just kind of got carried away with like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if, you know, she just happened to show up.
But that's your subconscious mind telling you that, so that is your idea for the story.
It is, but when you got to try to come up with the, you know, an answer or a response that makes sense, that hopefully appeal to a reader, yeah, it gets a little tricky. That was the same thing with Parker, and when I mentioned him and his father, and Laz's last story, you know, where Mason had called him into the office, and then I dropped this bomb that you know that Parker's dad wanted him dead, and then I had nothing. I think that's why it took so long for that book to come out, because I had nothing. I had authors even emailing me like, when are you gonna finish the book? When are we gonna see why Parker's dad wants to kill him? You know,
the pressure was on, because I was like,
it was on.
I was not used to you dropping those type of cliffhanger bombs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't think I was doing it at first. I don't know what's happened.
Yeah. I mean, I was just like, what? And I know I went to you and I was just like, And then you waited so
because I didn't have any idea. And then I knew I was going to have to do some serious research, because I'm like, why would his father want to kill him? You know, what does his father do for a living? And yeah. Oh, yeah. I think, who was it? I think it was Cheryl Lister. Had texted me after she read it and was going off like, what? How are you gonna leave us hanging like that? Right? Know. And she said something in one of the several texts, you know, she said something and she was asking a question, is he this, is he that? I'm like, oh, I like that idea. Oh, I like to use that. And then I was just trying to come up with something. I don't know why. I just got carried away with typing. I don't know. Sometimes you just get in this zone, and it's like, ooh, that sounds good. Let me just put it down there. Not thinking about, okay, I'm gonna have to follow up with.
Right. Right.
Now it's the same thing with Dorian and Dorian and Lennox running through the forest. It was so random. And then like when I started working on their story, I'm like, why were they out there?
Yeah, look, this is Sharon C. Cooper, unfiltered.
Yeah, don't tell anybody that I didn't know what was coming next.
Well, I think you have just said that you didn't know what was happening with the last five stories.
I know, and I don't know why it's been happening with every book lately. I think almost every book had a little bit of like a little, not necessarily a cliffhanger, but a little sneak peek into what the next story. And it's like, okay, as much as I hate cliffhangers, it's like I don't like reading them, but apparently.
Well, somebody must have hit you with a cliffhanger and you was like, I'm gonna get y'all on the back of something. Because okay, all right, y'all, excuse me, but okay, so the Lennox and Dorian ran through the park. I was like, wait, what?
I know, I was like that too.
And me, like when I read a story, you don't have to have answers. So if I don't have them readily, like if I can't ask you them right away, then I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're running through the park because maybe they get, you know what I mean? Like all of this stuff ran through my head. And then I'm like, okay. But with Parker, I was just like, what could it have possibly been? Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the way he called him, the way you wrote it at the end, the way he called him in, it was like life and death situation. And I'm like, okay, this is big,
Yeah, I got so many emails after that. And I'm thinking like, oh no, I have really got to come correct with this story.
Right.
Yeah, because, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you're right. That's why it's too much.
JB, don't say anything.
Right. Quick, cut the feed.
So now whenever you guys see that in one of my books, you're going to know that, she don't know where she's at.
We are going to be saying that. Or somebody's going to be like, Sharon, listen, okay, I see this. Let me help you out.
And I'll appreciate it.
But you know what? Having you say that again, this goes back to what I said, is that you look like you have it all together and you might be scrambling at the end of a book, but when you come back, you have everything intact. I mean, we would never know that until now we know that,
now
right?
You know.
You're so cute when you say, no, I didn't know. It just sounded good to me.
I hate to say it, yeah, that's pretty much how it usually is too.
But we love it though.
This will be fun, that's the one I use often, to myself, talking to myself, like, oh, this will be fun,
But again, you have not missed the mark yet. So keep doing what you're doing. Don't ever change. Don't ever change. And it's important that you have fun. And it sounds like you do have fun. So it's important that you have fun because what you put into the story, resonates off the pages to us. You know what I mean? Oh yeah.
And as a writer, you never know if it does. I just know that some scenes I'll be having a good time, or I'll be literally laughing out loud, like with Business Not As Usual, with the wig scene.
Yes.
The wig scene with Dreamy. I promise you, I was like literally laughing out loud. It's like, oh my goodness, this is so funny. Yeah.
But there's some parts of some books that you just will never forget. And I think in that one, Business as Usual, Not As Usual, that scene will carry that book forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Oh no, and then another one about that one too is the squeaky shoes.
Oh, I remember after you read the story, you said something about it couldn't have been a couple of days later, and you had on some squeaky shoes. Oh man, I laughed all over again. Because I think we all have had those shoes that, like, what the heck,
And then you try to not put your full pressure. Your
Kind of tiptoeing.
right. And then, but what was funny about with her, because he called her on that too, because she was trying to tiptoe out of there. Oh my God. And you're going to make me go back and reread that book. Guys, again, Sharon has an array of entertaining stories that you can choose from. This is just her latest, the Priestley Family series. The first one is Believing in You, where we have you gotta tell me the characters because now my mind.
Oh, Believing in You was Nyla and Harrison.
Nyla and Harrison, which you remember that was like a grumpy
Sunshine,
yeah, Grumpy Sunshine. And then in this one you have Raven and Zion and the twins. And the twins. But now, okay, Sharon, I gotta ask you about these twins because the twins were the most defining moment for them, right? But we didn't really get much of the twins. So they're still young. They're still on babies or whatever. How do you say the girl's name is Zion? Ziana.
You're gonna have me.
We're just we're gonna call her.
Remember my current characters.
I know it's spelled Zanaya.
Zanaya.
Okay, so with her, we know that she captured
Zanaya.
Yeah, Zanaya. Okay, so she's captured her father's heart by just her eyes looking at him. Okay, and we know Andrew, his namesake, is
impatient.
Yeah, he's very impatient. I don't know where he's getting that from too. I have to get with those characters, find out who the ones are impatient. But anyway, are we going to have more of the twins as they grow in the series? You know what you gotta, because sure. Isn't somebody else going to have kids?
I don't know. No.
Nobody else.
No, I don't know.
Because what is
actually Essence? I think because her son is getting ready to go off to college.
Oh, that's right. They do have a big cousin.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna do something with her and her best friend. His name is Jackson, by the way.
Okay.
For those who read the story, Finding You, I mentioned Essence attending the wedding with her best friend.
Mm-hmm. And that was that one's got some little what's going on there kind of thing.
Yeah. I haven't totally fleshed it out, but I think I would like to see her. She's older. Well, not old, but I think she might, by the time her story comes along, she might be 40 or something. And since her son is going off to college, I think it would be cool to put, one or two kids in her life. I haven't figured it out yet. So I'm not going to say I'm not going to put any more kids in because I really do like adding kids to a story. Yeah. I just think it was a little different with the infants. Because I like that when they're at the age where they can talk, and say this wild stuff or whatever. So that was a little bit different.
Well, let's see.
To answer your question, maybe.
Okay. And so I'm like Mama Tony. Kawana. She says, Mama wants more grandkids. So that's the whole premise from the very first story.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So I need to throw in some more kids.
Right. I don't know. What do you think about I don't know. I don't know if you could go back to back with kids, but because you're not making them like be married at the end of the story. So I don't know about if you'll do something with Dorian and Lennox.
Dorian and Lennox, there won't be any kids unless I do a scene, which is I might still squeeze in a scene with them and the twins since they're the godparents.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's true.
At this stage, I do make mention that the twins are 5 months old.
Mm-hmm.
Because Lennox, they fascinate him, because he's the youngest in his family, so he wasn't around little kids. So you know what? I might add a scene with them and the twins, maybe.
I like I think Lennox story, his backstory has the potential of being really, really good. And I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah, there's some nice twists and turns.
yeah, he
Gotta
just
keep you
has
guys
that
guessing.
yeah. But I mean, how much of his story are you going to be able to give us though?
In his book, you'll get all his whole backstory, and it'll be a few shockers with his backstory.
Yeah. And then I don't know about is Nyla, it since she was the first out the gate.
Yep.
With
Nyla Harrison and his mom will be mentioned. I know. Who else will make a Cree? Oh man, I just love her.
yeah.
Yeah, she gonna have some funny one-liners. I cannot wait to do her story.
So we are. I asked you this before, but for those of you who maybe wasn't at the last show or didn't catch it, but do you know we're gonna have more, but do you know how many books you have already?
I know for sure there'll be 5 in this series.
Okay.
I'm on book number 3 now.
Okay.
Yeah. As of right now, there'll only be 5 stories.
Okay.
All the siblings will get a story.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool.
Oh, I like that idea, Mama Tony. Let me write that down. I might see, because that could be fun.
What
the godparents babysitting the twins for a weekend.
Oh yeah, I like that too. I can see that being really kind of some potential.
Keep in mind, I like the idea, but if it can't work in the story, don't be surprised if it don't show up. Don't be like Miss Prissy and say, that is not what we talked about.
But look, she couldn't be happy with just that you gave her with one of the showing up in the book.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. I love it though. I love the ideas when they come at me, but sometimes when you're writing, some ideas can't either can't work it in, or it's just like feels forced or something. But Miss Prissy had given me a whole story, and I was like, I like that. And then when I started writing, it went all over the place, But I had to keep the one character that she wanted. So
yeah. All right. We are almost out of time.
Oh wow.
I know, but that's okay. I don't want to ever keep you over your time because I always want you to come back.
Please. I love this.
I love talking to you. So you've given us some teasers with, we're going to get a couple more books is in store for the Priestley family. Is there any more connecting continuations, new stories you got coming along the line?
None that I have a solid plan for. I really have some story ideas for Rock. Who was a part of the Atlanta's Finest series. When I'll get to him, I'm not sure, but the ideas are coming. I also have some ideas for Royce. Royce is part of the Jenkins family. Him and his 2 brothers, I think he has 2 brothers, live in Chicago, and they're moving back to Cincinnati. So I have some ideas, but yeah, about them. Who else? The next story after I finish Dorian and Lennox will be Cree's story. I think hers is going to be fun. I think hers is going to be a lot of fun because she's a slick talker. And I want to kind of play on her past experience of being a stripper.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She in the story, she seems so uptight. And so when you get her backstory, they don't match, kind of, sort of. So it's going to be interesting to see how you pull that one off.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said, don't take too long. Look, I know, Duchess, for sure.
Okay.
And none of that Parker business.
Okay. No, but the 5 stories actually are planned for this year. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm determined to write all 5 of them this year.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
At least
So
that's my plan.
okay. Let me see what JB says. Oh yeah, I don't think she's gonna say any dates on here. I would never hold her to those.
I do know if all things continue to go well with Dorian and Lennox, it will be this summer, their release date.
Okay.
Tour dates.
Two
Nah.
dates. Oh, okay.
Nah. It takes so much for me to get out there in public.
You know what? Actually, tell us a little bit about the event you just went to just recently. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
yeah. Tell us what was it
Black
called?
Black Romance Book Festival. It was here in Chicago. Talking about Chicago. It was here in Atlanta at the beginning of June, end of May, beginning of June. It was fabulous. The organizers did an amazing job. It was very overwhelming for those of us who are typically introverted. You know, having so many people everywhere was a little wild. But it was beautiful to see so many of us together discussing books, just how we all love basically. That was really cool. It was great. It was really great. Yeah, it was a lot of people.
Yeah, that's
It
good
was
though.
a
And
lot of people.
right, look, JB said, "Who's an introvert? Who's introverted?"
I could turn it on as far as trying to be extroverted, but after a while it's like, okay, I gotta,
It's too much.
yeah. My sister calls it I'm done with peopling or something like
Yeah, yeah. Look, people, I do that at work sometimes. If I go up to the front and then if I see a lot of people, I say, "Oh, it's too people up here. I gotta go back."
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
Because
people ask me questions.
as an author, you have to like show up, but after a while, it's like, okay, where can I go?
Right, right. But I heard a lot of authors, and they just wasn't expecting the crowds. They
Yeah, it was beautiful to see. Don't get me wrong. It was just, and I just love us coming together like that. That was so beautiful.
yeah.
But yeah, it was. If you can attend the event, I highly recommend it. You'll enjoy it.
So this
Um,
was their first time.
this was the first one. I
Yeah,
would say it was a success.
yeah. So then they'll have them again. But I
Yeah.
hear the tickets go really fast for this one because they only sell a certain amount of tickets and then they shut it down. Yeah.
Yeah, because the last one, I want to say they sold out within like a week of it. I mean, it was very quick.
Yeah, I
Very
didn't. I didn't even see it, so I didn't. Then if
Yeah,
I,
it was quick. It
and it
was
was, yeah.
real quick at how fast they sold out. And I heard that they have over 500 authors who are interested in attending.
Mhm.
So I don't know how they're going to go about choosing what authors, to invite or what have you.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
But ticket sales for readers go on sale, I want to say in August.
oh,
But once you find out, mark your calendar because they go fast.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah. Yep, yeah. But for me too, when I found out about it, they were sold out for me too, Mama Tony.
Yeah, they are using a larger venue here in Atlanta for next year.
Mhm.
I did hear that.
Yeah, I think they almost have to.
Yeah, they do because that one, it was a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah. All right, guys. Any last minute questions or comments for Miss Sharon before we close it up?
This was so much fun. I
Yeah,
love when we do this.
yeah, we kind of went off script a little bit though, but that's okay.
Did you ask all your questions?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
No, yeah. I do this to ask my questions, but it's really for the readers to bring, and other readers just to bring them together, because if we don't get a chance to see you out and about, this is the next best thing. Where we-
Yeah, I do have a couple of surprise visitors in this next story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Y'all getting all the tea on over here. See what
I won't
happens
say
when I
who.
leave?
I won't say who just in case it changes, but
Right, right. In
but
case
right
you don't
now,
see it.
yeah, I've
Good.
already been asked if Laz is gonna show up in one of the books. So it's like, I probably will have to kind of bring him to Chicago at some point. I don't know when, but we'll see.
Yeah. And look, Last gonna be coming. If Last shows up in the book, he gonna be wrecking something. He gonna be wrecking something.
But that would be fun.
Yeah, he will. He's always fun. He's always fun. We love you too, Duchess, and we thank you so much. All right, have a good time, and again, happy Juneteenth to everybody.
Oh yeah, got my shirt.
Oh yeah, let's show our shirts off. Look, I'm influenced by the culture.
Emancipation Day, Juneteenth.
Right. Y'all keep those prayers coming, honey, because a change is gonna come. It's gotta come. All right. Thank you, Miss Brenda.
Thank you guys for showing up.
Yeah, okay. So guys, that is a wrap here. And if any of these stories moved you, made you reflect, or gave you a warm, achy feeling in the chest, share with a friend, leave a review. Most importantly, let the healing of the power of love.
Right? Oh, I love that.
Right. So y'all, that's a wrap there. Make sure you like, tag, and share somebody so they can watch the replay on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you'll know the next time I go live with one of your faves. Okay. So bye-bye for now.
Thank you guys.
Stay cool, everybody. Let's see.
Last is the man.
Thank you. Okay. Good night. I'm Tony. Talk to you soon. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.